All right, what's up? What's up? What's up? We are
So
here in
I'm trying to do background. I don't like it though. Feel like
trying to figure out the background, good brother. We are here with the Agents of Chaos podcast. I am Scott Anderson. I'm here with my co-host Brandon Anderson, and we are here with episode 3. My man's trying to figure that background out back
I'm in
there.
virtual reality, brother. We're gonna go through, we're gonna do it this way. I'm like Neo in the Matrix.
Absolutely. So first things first, I want to give a shout out again to our sponsors, Coliseum Media, Top Notch Training, and Boost Basketball Program. They sponsor us to allow us to be able to put this podcast together to give you all this information. So we want to give a huge shout out to them. And really quick, I want to give a huge shout out to our cousin, Hassan. He's been heavy with the comments, promoting it, sharing it. Hassan is what we like to call a sports mind elite when it comes to these things. Like, he could talk anything for any sport. So we definitely got to get him on a podcast and
a nice sports mind elite bias.
Yeah.
But he is he legit though. He be doing
his being a Bears fan and Hassan being a Patriots fan, that could just be great conversation. I won't have too much. My squad only got one championship in '85. So that's not much.
You only got one too. Yeah. The Eagles only got one.
I was 4 years after I was born. So you say we got some time in there. So
yeah.
But yeah, this is episode 3, man. How you feeling, cuz?
Man, I'm feeling good. So much stuff happened over in the sports world over the last couple of days. I know we talked a little bit about the NIL, which you're going to talk about today. I know we talked about, I kind of outlined the play-in and the results from that. Crazy results in the NBA playoffs right now. I got tons to talk about when it comes to that stuff. Real quick, I want to shout this out too. My oldest son, Jerron, he has a podcast with his friends at his high school. And he requested, he was like, Dad, next time I need to get on there. So I'm like,
okay.
We got like 5 people that want to get on the podcast right now. So I'm excited about that. I'm happy for the support. Love my son for the shout out. And
absolutely. What's the name of the podcast? What's the name of the podcast that he got?
I don't really think that they named anything specific. It's just something that they do for their band, and it's like they just like the end of school stuff. He'll tell.
All right, that's well. Congratulations to him for doing this pod. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We're here on the Agents of Chaos. So, like you said, we were going to talk about the NIL deals and things like that, and that's a great topic for us to talk about. But let's be honest here, man. We got to talk about some real major news that just happened.
Yeah.
And, look, it is what it is.
And I love this. I love this topic right now because I know we are on opposite ends right now as far as what the contract means and what it is. And
Jalen Hurts got a 5-year, $255 million contract with $179 million guaranteed. That's one of the biggest contracts right now in the NFL for a quarterback.
No. Highest paid ever
player ever right now in the NFL, and that's crazy. That's a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of money. Hey,
ton of money.
So at first, when I heard about this contract, right, I was like, I don't know how I feel about it.
Of course.
I'm gonna tell you why I had my because every quarterback that has gotten paid a lots amount of money, they've had a decline the following year. And that's what I stood on, right? That's what I stood on. Like, he had a decline. I went back and I did some research and I looked it up.
Mahomes didn't have a decline.
Huh?
Patrick Mahomes didn't decline.
Well, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and that's what I'm saying. That's why when I did some research, there were very few quarterbacks that didn't have that decline. And so the more I thought about it, the more I talked about it, the more I was like, well, Jalen Hurts doesn't look to me to be one of those guys with his mentality to have himself fall off. He seems like this will motivate him to do what he's supposed to do and be on it like that. That was my biggest concern. Because like I said, when I look back, I looked at Dak Prescott. I looked at Kyler Murray. I looked at some of these guys because that's what I was able to find. And their production, their touchdown to touchdown ratio from after that kind of went down. And so, like I said, the more I thought about it, I was like, but Jalen Hurts to me doesn't look like that kind of a guy. You know what I mean? He doesn't look like he'll let the money affect the way that he plays or his mental. He'll still be that same guy. That's the one thing I tell you all the time that I love about him is that my man's a sphinx. You never know. He's never too high. He's never too low.
Right.
So the more I thought about it and the more I looked into it, I was like, this is actually an awesome contract for him. He's earned every penny of it. I'll never deny him that. I'll never say that he didn't earn it. He went out there, he rocked and rolled, he did what he was supposed to do. I do love how they structured it to where his money breaks down. I think it's like 16 in the first, and then at the 5th year, it's like 31 million or something like that.
I think it even goes 13 and 17.
Yeah, 13 or something like that. Only other concern that I had about this was will they be able to keep, some linemen and things of that nature? Like I was thinking about it in the beginning, because I know that can happen when you pay a guy a lot of money. You tend to lose a lot of key players on that line that helped you become that guy. So other than that, man, and those are small things when I think about it on the scale of what we're talking about here. Those are small things, but I think it's a great contract for him. I think it's a great contract for the Eagles, and I think he's going to live up to it continuously after that check hits that bank account, bro.
Yeah. So I'm not biased. I am biased. You already know the Eagles is my team. You already know that. right? You already know that. Now I've seen us mess up contracts. Paid DeMarco Murray, should have never paid him that money. Not for that kind of offense. Paid Nnamdi Asomugha, should have never paid him.
Them contracts. I feel you. Yep.
Terrible. So here's my thing, and this is a rhetorical question. I don't mean for this to be answered right now. I'm just gonna throw it out there, and then I'm gonna bring it back because I'm gonna talk about this contract. Because when Kirk Cousins got his money, everybody was like, okay. I mean, it's what the market dictates, and you gotta pay the guy what you gotta pay him. When Daniel Jones just got his contract, everybody was like, well, I mean, I wouldn't have did it, but, he's this, and this. And then, people talking about the top 3 quarterbacks. I had this conversation with a couple of my guys, my boys, and we had this group chat, and we talking about the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, talking about top 5. Now, I'm just gonna say this, and like I said, I'm not being biased in this opinion, but I am because he's our quarterback. But I love the contract for him. Like you said, love what he did. I love the fact that I feel like he's earned it. I think that this contract is more than just what his value is. I think and what his production is on the field. I feel like his leadership, his ownership of the team and changing the mentality and the work ethic of everybody in that organization is a reflection of why they paid him what they paid him. I don't care about all the numbers. What I care about is, does my team work hard? Do they whether they win or not? That's fine. You're not gonna win every game. You're not gonna win every Super Bowl. Do they work hard? Do they play hard? And do you put out a good product? Because like I said, you're not gonna win all the time. And do the team believe in you? Does the city believe in you? And for so long, we've always had questions about the quarterback position. They wanted to pay Carson Wentz. We paid Carson Wentz. And then we had to get out from underneath that contract.
Right.
So this isn't something that the Eagles is afraid of risk reward. We signed back 1-year deals for everybody that we was going to keep. The Bears got one of our linebackers. The Panthers got our running back. The San Francisco 49ers got a D lineman from us. The Lions got Chauncey Gardner Johnson. We kept deep. We kept Slay. Kelsey another year, will probably retire after this year. Lane Johnson, 1 more year. He probably going to retire after this year.
Fletcher Cox
probably going to retire after this year.
Right.
Brandon Graham, probably going to retire after this year. We let go of one offensive lineman. We still kept Mailata. We still kept Dickerson. We still kept the core guys are still there. So that money next year is going to be gone.
Right.
You pay those guys what you paid them this year because they all got 1-year deals.
Right.
Slay got a whole restructured contract, so he's locked up. Bradbury got a whole new contract, so he's locked up. You got guys that's coming in as rookies, 1st-round draft picks, 2nd-round draft picks. We got 4 to 5 years, 3 to 4 more years before we have to pay any of those guys. And if you got to let 1 or 2 of those guys go in the next 3 to 4 years, then fine, because the window ain't that big. Russell Wilson got to the Super Bowl 2 times in 5 years, and he ain't been back since. Aaron Rodgers went to the Super Bowl twice. No, wait. 2 times. No, once. He won one.
And that's it.
He didn't get back? I thought he lost one.
I don't think he got back. I think he made it to the end, and he only made it to the NFC Championship, I think, twice?
2 years ago, right? And then San Francisco played the Chiefs.
San Francisco knocked them out 2 times in a row.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about here? I mean, we're talking about guys that don't get a chance to go to the Super Bowl, but maybe once or twice. So that window was closing. The window for Jalen Hurts was the first 4 years. You knew you were going to have to pay him. He's a 2nd-round draft pick. So that means that he only has 4 years for his options. He's not a 1st-round draft pick, so you get 5 years.
Right.
But then they kept everyone that they wanted to keep as a core. They re-signed everybody that they wanted to re-sign, and then they paid him his money. Right. We just can't make any big free agent splashes as far as buying guys in the future, right now, next year, this year, whatever. But that's when you got to draft well, and you got to get the guys that you already got there that produced last year to produce again. So why not have a guy in the locker room that's going to create that work ethic? And that's exactly what you want to have. So I love the contract for Jalen. I love it for him. I love it for the organization because it gives continuity to that position. And then from that point, you just got to maneuver the money around whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he was asking to be the highest paid, but he deserves it. The trajectory, real quick, I'm going to say this. Mm-hmm. The trajectory of his career at this point, 4 years in, first year he didn't really play, played a couple games at the end of the season. First full year as a starter, 9-8, they made the playoffs. They lost to Tom Brady, who won the Super Bowl that same season. The next year, full-time starter, nobody believed in him. They went to the Super Bowl, and they lost to Patrick Mahomes. So his 2 losses in the playoffs is Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, who both ended up winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
Well, arguably the best 2 quarterbacks in the NFL.
So there's another thing in regards to this contract, because there's 2 other quarterbacks who have to get paid, and they're going to use this contract.
That's right.
But I don't think Josh Allen is better to get paid more than Jalen Hurts.
I don't either.
And
everybody loves Josh Allen.
That kind of sucks a little bit to where I'm like, y'all, we know for a fact, I think Joe Burrow is probably going to end up becoming the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. And guess what? You pay Joe Burrow.
Right.
You pay him. If you make him the highest quarterback next, then you pay him. Because guess what? You had an opportunity. You could have did it, but you didn't. So pay him now. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. The Ravens can't sign him now.
No.
They can't. Unless he decides to take less money. The Ravens can't sign him now because he gonna win 107. Because guess what? He won 170 million guaranteed, and he ain't getting
it. At least 180. Yeah, he's gonna win at least 180, 190.
So here's my thing too. When I had this conversation with my boys about the top 3 quarterbacks, and I want to hear your take first and why, and then I'm gonna give you mine and why, and then we can, we'll move on. But I just want to hear from you. What do you feel? It could be top 5. I don't care what you go. Right. Top five quarterbacks, and I know people can make an argument, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why those guys I wouldn't take above Jalen Hurts. But go. Let me get your. We already know Patrick Mahomes is 1, so let's just go 2 to 5.
2 to 5. Okay. Jalen Hurts is gonna have to be 2 because he just faced him in the Super Bowl.
Thank you.
Legit, like he just Super Bowl. After that, I'm gonna go Joe Cool.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Right.
That's the conversation that I'm having with my boys.
NFL, we're talking this year performance, right? We're talking this year based off of performance, right? We're not talking years prior.
No, we're not talking years prior. Because guess what? Don't nobody care about years prior. This is going to sound crazy.
I like what Brock Purdy did the last 6 games. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I like what he did.
But are you putting him in the top 5 though?
Not you're talking about from last year.
Yeah,
right?
I'm saying. But are you really gonna put him in the top 5? If you do that, we gonna fight. That's just let you know that now.
Okay, so let's go. I just like what he did. I'm sorry. To be drafted Mr. Irrelevant and to put on the show like you did for last year's game is very impressive.
Listen, I know one of my boys, if he watched this podcast, he would love you because he's a 49ers fan. And I'm like, stop with the Brock Purdy.
It's very impressive. And like if we're talking about performances from last year, it's hard to look over that because he wasn't supposed to do that. And so let's go for the sake of the pod. For the sake of the pod, let's go. Patrick Mahomes 1.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts 2. Joe Cool 3.
And I real quick, I'm fine with it being flip-flop. I'm fine with Joe Cool being 2 and Jalen being 3.
I give respect to those that made it to the NFL.
Okay.
I made it to the Super Bowl. I'm gonna give the
okay. Who's 4?
Let's go, Josh Allen 4.
Okay.
And Aaron Rodgers at 5.
Man, see.
I don't know who else. I don't know who I would put over. I'm trying to think. Like I don't know who I would put over him.
Trevor Lawrence
at 5. Who? Who did you say? Who? Huh? You turned me to a damn owl. Like who?
I said Trevor Lawrence.
Oh no. No. Did you see that playoff performance? That motherfucker had 5 interceptions in the first quarter. He had 5 interceptions. What? No. Do I think he's going to get better? Yes. But watch that playoff game. I was like, oh.
So like I'm with you. I'm with you here, and I would go here because at this point you got to go off of potential because after the last 2 seasons, Mahomes been consistent. Joe Cool been consistent. Last year he went to the Super Bowl, 1 game away from being back in the Super Bowl. Now they didn't, and the Bengals didn't start off good. The Bengals started off trash.
Bad.
So let's just be real about that.
Got into it, yeah. They got to.
Yeah. And then you can't throw Matthew Stafford in there. They did win a Super Bowl the year before that, but then he got hurt, so you can't throw him in there. If he would have had a decent performance this year, you got to start dwindling. I think this is the problem right now.
Matthew Stafford, those cornerbacks knew how to catch passes. He threw the ball to the defense on 2 occasions against the 49ers and against the team that they won the Bucks. That they should have caught those jokers and gone the other way, and the games would have been over. Matthew Stafford did Matthew Stafford in those 2 games and got lucky, and they made it. And he Matthew Stafford against the Bengals too. Yeah,
he did. So I'm gonna say this. I think that the problem right now with a lot of people and with a couple of my boys in the group chat that we have is that we are going to have to start wrapping our heads around the fact that there aren't any more Peyton Mannings. Ain't no more Tom Brady's. Ain't no more Drew Breeses. There's not guys who occupy the top 5 spots in the NFL as a quarterback position who occupy that without question. It doesn't. Right now, we're in a transition period because a lot of these quarterbacks we are trying to crown, and Josh Allen is one of them. And I looked at his stats. Josh Allen had 26 touchdowns last year and 15 interceptions. Okay, and then you had and fumbled it all over the place. Can't do it. You can't do that. And then I looked at Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Now he was without his top wide receivers for a majority of the year last year. So I will give him a pass on that. But he had 38 touchdowns the year before last year. He had 25 last year. Okay, so he digressed by 13 touchdowns. You look at easily. You look at Jalen Hurts. People say, well, he had 22 touchdowns and 10 rushing touchdowns. And he had 16 and 9 the year before that, and they still made the playoffs. And that was that was his rookie season. It can only go up from there. That doesn't matter. It went up. He had 6 turnovers, 6 interceptions last year. He had a couple of fumbles, but he only lost 2, I think. He had like 5 fumbles, but he lost 2. But his team, when he's a starter, at the time in the regular season was 17-1. He wasn't losing. Just flat out. He wasn't losing. And it was, and if you think that for a moment that there was anybody was questioning whether or not the Eagles would have had an opportunity to score a touchdown or a field goal, if that penalty wasn't called in the Super Bowl, you're out of your mind. Because neither team could stop either team.
Right. They were just going up and down the field.
They were going up and down the field. And Jalen Hurts had 5 touchdowns offensively.
Right.
He gave up a defensive touchdown. So to say that it was a lock that the Chiefs was going to win the Super Bowl, if it wasn't for that penalty, you never know. So I think we have to start realigning what we look at. Aaron Rodgers used to be a staple. Aaron Rodgers was trash last year. Straight trash. And now this year, he's going to go to a new team, probably the Jets. They haven't made it official yet. And then he's going to get some more weapons and whatnot. And we'll see what he does. But Tua Tagovailoa, everybody wanted to crown him. He faced some adversity, looked like trash, and now he was injured. You just can't arbitrarily say I'm going to take guys over somebody when they haven't done anything. Lamar Jackson is 1-3 in the playoffs.
Right.
Josh Allen is 4-4 in the playoffs.
Right.
Justin Herbert has 0 playoff wins. Joe Burrow is 5-2 Joe Burrow is 5-2 in the playoffs. His 2 losses in the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts is 2-2. His 2 losses are to Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
So we're going to have to start accepting that for this year, too, coming up, he's going to be one of the favorites to repeat, to get back, just like the Chiefs will be, just like the Bengals will be. I don't think anybody came into the season last year thinking that the Eagles was going to the Super Bowl. But what happened during the season? It quickly changed because you see how dominant they were and the kind of command that Jalen had.
It absolutely, I believe it changed when they made that trade to get A.J. Brown.
Absolutely. And that was during on draft day.
That was during the draft, right? So when that trade happened, you even saw the look on Tennessee's face, the coach's face. He was like, what the hell did we just do? You know what I'm saying? So he was looking like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think, like I said, you said no one projected the Super Bowl, but if you thought first round of the playoffs, you immediately put them in the NFC Championship because A.J. Brown is just that guy. You know what I mean? And we already know he's just going to get better. He got to get a little bit bigger. You know what I mean? He's just going to get better as a weapon for the Eagles. So I agree. Their trajectory is only going to go up, barring anything crazy happening. You know what I mean? It is the NFL, but absolutely. And so just real quick, and I know you said your friend is a 49ers fan, so he's going like, and I'm sorry, I'm an NFC guy.
Oh my gosh.
I'm an NFC. Quick, just to, and then we can transition from this. Is that one of the great things that I love about football and about facing adversity is the ability to not let something stand in your way and stop you from being the greatest that you're going to be. And again, when I think of Brock Purdy being drafted Mr. Irrelevant, these guys never get known. You don't think about these guys afterwards. They end up doing shampoo commercials or they end up being over here. It's like, hey, I just made it to the league. I don't give a damn. This kid, when he got an opportunity being drafted last overall, went out there and showed that he is a smart quarterback. He understands the position. I don't know if it was lack of scouting or even the school he went to. He went up against Jalen Hurts, and they sparred it out in college, right? So I don't know how a kid like him falls to that number, you know what I mean, and not get seen. But then for him to come in and put on what I think is a spectacular show in 6 games, given where he was drafted and what people was going to do, I think he really made a shakeup in San Francisco that you got to give this kid an opportunity next year. I do kind of feel bad for Trey Lance because I don't think Trey Lance is ever going to get an opportunity because the second he makes a mistake, they're going to want him out. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to see if Trey Lance got an opportunity elsewhere because they still kept Jimmy G. If I don't know, Jimmy G went to the Raiders, so it's just Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. And unfortunately, if they do, let's just say for all intents and purposes, they're going to have to because of his shoulder injury, his elbow injury, whatever the case may be, they're going to have to go with Trey Lance. And the first mistake this kid makes, they're going to be raining hellfire down on him. You know what I mean? So I do feel that's.
I'm a make it brief, and then we'll talk about the NIL. I'm gonna make it brief, and I'm gonna give my man, his name's Pedro. I'm gonna give my man Pedro his due because I'm gonna talk about very nice about the 49ers. Oh man, listen, I if it wasn't for the Eagles, I love the 49ers. I think the 49ers was a great organization. I'm a huge Jerry Rice fan. To me, I don't care what anybody says. We can argue about this in future podcasts. Jerry Rice is the greatest football player ever. Period, point blank, in the sentence. I don't care who you talking about. Deion Sanders, Lawrence Taylor, Chris Dolman, Deacon Jones. I don't care. Jerry Rice is the greatest football player I've ever seen. So let's just leave what it is. Absolutely. I love Brock Purdy and what he did. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to say that. And I'm going to give him his due because, of course, I wanted the Eagles to beat the 49ers. But but Brock Purdy, I love the story. And the kid looked poised. Yeah. He looked good. Yeah. And I want to see him progress. And to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the injury, I would say this about Trey Lance. Too bad. Yeah. Sorry. Stop getting hurt. That's your fault. I don't care. Right. Stop, bro, look, everybody, the cliche is availability is the best ability. You gotta show up. I'm sorry. You can't be hurt all the time. And Brock Purdy, listen, I would have this conversation with Trey Lance if I was the organization. Listen, Trey. This is gonna be Brock's team. But if he's hurt, this is your last opportunity. Right. And I ain't just talking about play okay. You got to show out. You got to show that the reason why we drafted you was this. Yeah. I'm talking about. It's got to be no question. Yeah. You got to be like, I'm doing things that Brock can't do. Right. That's what it has to be. Right. Like they made the switch from Alex Smith to Colin Kaepernick because Colin Kaepernick was just more dynamic. Absolutely. It just was what it was. No one could stop him. Yeah, he was going on everybody. And this is the same situation. Trey, you got to not be hurt, and you got to be so good that when Brock is ready, we're going to have to question whether he should come back in the game. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And I think Brock will be fine. And I think Brock will be fine with that. I think Trey Lance will be fine with that. I think if Trey Lance as a guy, if you feel like you can't move on, if you can't get the starting job, then you need to move on. Go to a different team. Absolutely. And so we'll put a pin in that. We can come back to it. Just wanted to give the teams their love. We started talking about this last podcast, and we're going to touch on it a little bit right here. We were talking about NIL deals, which is name, image, and likeness deals that players are now allowed to get in college. Yeah. A lot of people were up against it. They didn't think that, being in college, you should be able to make money. They feel like the education that you gain is way more important than you having money in your pocket, right? So, but they did have college football games, basketball games. The universities make money when the team goes to bowl games and things like that. Everybody else gets paid. Boosters get paid, but the people who actually perform on the field don't get paid. So they started the name, image, and likeness situation, and that, they were worried about it because they thought bigger schools would be able to offer bigger NIL deals. Little schools, maybe not so much. So I say all that to say that we were talking about, of course, the Caitlin Clark and the Angel Reese situation. But Angel Reese just went on a podcast and she explained that she currently makes $1.3 million off of her NIL deals. So she's like, why would I have to worry about going into the WNBA when I make just as much, or if not more, or just around the same amount as the highest paid WNBA player? Yeah. So with that being said, how do you feel that will affect the game, not only in the WNBA, but in the NFL or NBA? If these kids are like, yo, I can make this much money doing NIL deals, why do I have to put my body on the line in the NFL? I can buy my mama a house. I can go ahead and do all these things that I want to do. I can live that life that I want to live. While in college,
why do I have to go to the NFL and risk CTE, risk injury, risk, you know what I mean, all these other things, if I can already get this money?
So you said, how does that affect the NBA, NFL, or WNBA, NFL,
How
NBA?
game with college players being able to get paid that type of money before they even touch the league?
So I'm gonna answer this question real quick. How does it affect those multi-billion-dollar organizations that make money off of people and players and everything? Who cares? Who cares what happens to them? Because I'm gonna tell you why. Because the NBA is not gonna suffer. The WNBA is not gonna the WNBA is not gonna suffer. Okay, let's just get that right. They're not going to suffer because eventually those players are going to end up coming to your league. So I don't think that one or two players at the apex of their college careers are going to impact the financial security of NBA, WNBA, NFL teams. Them people ain't suffering. So the NIL deals is a great thing for college athletes because the college sports have been making money off of these athletes for decades.
Right.
Billions of dollars for decades. And you see some players, and I go back to this, there's some players that get to the NFL and they're busts. They don't last for 5 years. They don't last for 3 years. They might get hurt. They might get concussed. Why not make your money when you can? Because you don't know if tomorrow is promised. You don't know if you're going to become Tom Brady. You don't know if you're going to become the next Jerry Rice, Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, running backs, Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor. You don't know if you're going to become those guys, Derrick Henry. So why not make what you can early from schools that are benefiting from you playing a sport recreationally? Because you still got to go to class. You still got to go to class. You still got to do other things. You can't work because you're not allowed to work. That's an NCAA violation. So, and how many kids are we talking about here? You know, how many kids and who is it hurting? Like, I think that if anything, as a culture, we need to think about this long term. And I don't want to go too deep.
Right.
We always want our kids to go to the NFL or the NBA or the Major League Baseball or something like that. Well, now you can still be a doctor. You can still be a lawyer. You can still open your own business to become an entrepreneur or become an artist. And then you can use your money as a college athlete to catapult your career into something that you want to do. I think sometimes kids are forced to play professional sports because they know, hey, I may not get this bag. You know what I mean? Ever again. You know, I did all of this work and hard work to get to college, and now the inevitable end is to go to the NBA or NFL or any other major professional sport after that, hockey, whatever it is.
Right.
And I just think that you can't look a gift horse in the mouth. You got to look for your opportunities when they come. And I'm all for players getting paid for universities using them to make money, because that's exactly what's happening. They're using them to make money, and I feel like it's a great thing for college kids to be able to have that to catapult their careers.
Absolutely. And so my take on it is, I don't necessarily think it will affect the game as far as money goes, right? As for they're always NFL, NBA, they're going to make their paper.
Right.
I do think it will affect the type of athlete now that gets the opportunity to make it to the NFL or the NBA, because a lot of these top people, like the 1%, like you're supposed to be considered the 1% if you can make it into the NFL, right? The elite of the elite. But like I said, if you can make that money without putting your body on the line, why do it? Right? I don't have to join the NFL. I was smart with my money. I invested it over here. I now have this. I may be the number one projected player to come out of Alabama or Wisconsin or wherever, but I really don't have to do this. You know what I mean? I don't have to do it unless I absolutely have a dire love for the game of football. I don't have to do it. So I think in time, like the more that this ramps up, the more money, I think you might see more people getting more opportunities to come in, because these top guys, just like just like when the first player decided I'm not going to go to the NFL draft. Remember, all the players had to go. Then all of a sudden, what happened? Oh, I'm not going to the draft. I'm not going to the draft. I'm not going to the draft. Or when you go to the combine, I'm not throwing at the combine. I'm only throwing at my pro day. Before you had to go to the, you know what I'm saying? Right. So I think eventually it's going to affect it to where players are going to be like, oh, this is the number one overall. I don't got to go to you. I don't got to come to, why I got to do that? I got 17 million over here on my NIL deal. Why do I have to come? You see what I'm saying? Put my body on the line and risk it when I'm already making the money. So I think over time it'll affect it in that way. You know what I mean? To where we make more players be like, oh man, I don't really have to do this. And so, then someone else may get an opportunity or a shot because of that.
So to that point, I think this benefits college. Because we always were talking about how the NBA has the one and done rule, where guys are coming into the to the NCAA and they're playing one season and then they're going into the league when none of them should be there. None of them should be there. A lot of times, guys should not be going to the NBA. And in the NFL, I love it. You got to be a certain age to go to the NFL. Like you can't go after 2 seasons of college. You got to go after 3. So I think that the benefit in the interim right now is going to be college basketball. College basketball, men's and women's, is going to benefit more because they're going to have to stay. Now they have incentive to stay longer. So you might get a person who, if they were going to go to the NBA, they might be a 5th round draft pick. But right now, they playing for Duke. And I'm Duke. And look, I might be a star here at Duke. I might not be a star when I get to the NBA, but right now I'm a star here at Duke. So let me get my bag. So that way I'm not hard pressed to have to go away and do something. I think that the quality of college basketball and college sports should benefit.
So the better word I should have used as opposed to hurt was affect. How will it affect the game? You know what I mean? With
no, because it could hurt. It could have hurt. It could have hurt it. You know, it's possible for that thing. Yeah,
I got you.
So speaking of we were talking about NBA college basketball. Let's talk about the NBA real quick. You know,
sure.
Playoffs, and boy, oh boy, the playoffs.
Sacramento play. They are not playing any games with the Warriors right now. It's 0-2. Philly is up on Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Philly's up 2-0 on Brooklyn right now. Yeah.
LA is up.
The Clippers and the Suns play tonight.
Right. So right now, man, I'm like, whoa, who saw this coming? These young boys is out here about to get after it. And I think the Celtics are at it too. Like, and they're good, bro. Like, I listen, man. The Celtics are a damn good team. Man, the Bucks, of course, are a good squad too. But man, the Celtics are a really dope team. They may give the Sixers a run for their money in the East, man. They're going to give them this. That's going to be a game I want to see. If we get them to I would love to see that. I can't wait to see that game.
They're the favorite, but I think Boston is the favorite right now with this Giannis injury, because Giannis hurt his back.
Right, and they say he might not be available for game 2. They listed him as doubtful. I think it is.
Yeah, it's doubtful for game 2, and then John Morant. The leg. Well, let me just touch on a couple of things because
he just hurt his hand, right? He busted his hand.
He hurt his hand. But they're saying that it's not that bad and he's actually going to play. But here's the thing, and we're just going to touch on a couple of these because we don't have to talk about all of them.
Sure.
But I think the most surprising, but not surprising, is the Memphis and the Lakers series. So the Lakers and the Grizzlies series. So I know the Grizzlies are number 2, but I said this before. Even though I thought that the Grizzlies would probably maybe win, just depending on the Lakers, because the Lakers turn the ball over too much and it scares me. But they're a matchup problem with the injuries that Memphis has. They're down Steven Adams, they're down Brandon Clark, both bigs. And even I think if they were there, it would make a difference. I think the game would be closer because they're physical guys. And I think that benefits Anthony Davis, who's not so much of a physical guy, and he's pretty much the only big that the Lakers have. LeBron can be physical. LeBron can be physical, and you can play him with Jaren. He can play Jaren Jackson Jr., but you're not going to see Jaren Jackson Jr., Steve Adams, and Brandon Clark all on the court at the same time because you don't have scoring. So without John Morant, and I think even when they had John Morant, I thought that it was going to be a pretty contested series. I figured that the Grizzlies would probably get one game at home, or 2 games at home, and then the Lakers would have to try to hold court and then try to get a game there. And they got the first game without Anthony Davis and LeBron even playing well. And that's the thing. Like, everybody's like, well, those other guys aren't going to put up 29 points. Okay, maybe not, but maybe they put up 15. Maybe they put up 15. Maybe another guy puts up 17.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Maybe a guy puts up 17. Maybe LeBron puts up 30. Maybe AD puts up 35. So I think that the matchups for them is going to be a problem. I don't see if John Morant comes back, even if he's healthy, I don't see the Grizzlies getting out of this. And then you're going to see the Lakers, getting, advancing. I think they're advancing, and we'll see who they got next. It's probably going to be the Kings, because it looks like the Kings, they're not playing.
They're dog walking the Warriors right now. Bro.
Let's talk about the Kings, because I want to get your take on Draymond Green stepping on Sabonis. Come on, man, because I haven't been. You already know how I feel about it.
Watched the game. I watched the play. He didn't have to do that.
Right.
I don't think he had to do that. I watched it, and then on top of it, you could have gotten your foot over him, right? But then you do a jump off kind of a thing. And then his excuse is
he grabbed his leg. He said he was grabbing his leg.
And I heard when people say, "Oh, what makes him a jerk is what makes him great." No, it just makes him an ass. It doesn't make him great. It just makes him an ass, right? I see the guy was holding your leg. What I would have done is I would have looked down at him and pointed at my leg like, "Bro, really? Like, are you holding? Like, let me go."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of, because I saw the wrap his arm around his leg. Now, I'm not saying that the other guy is a clean player. He does some dirty stuff as well. But that right there, that was almost as egregious as Ndamukong Suh kicking my man in the groin, talking about, "I didn't know where my leg was supposed to go." You're a multi-million-dollar trained athlete. You know what the hell your legs are doing. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me that, man. You do plyometric drills like everybody else. Your proprioception does not suck. You know, the relationship to another grown man's body on the court.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think he was disingenuous saying, "Oh, well, I had to put my foot somewhere." It's like, I get it. You're frustrated. You're losing. And this is how Sacramento was going to play you all the time. And now you're out 2 games. And if Sacramento wins the next 2 because you did something stupid, you get swept. You feel what I'm saying? You get swept out of the thing. The same thing with Russell Westbrook getting mad at the fan for calling him Westbrook. Yay! Hey, you putting up an apartment right now. You know what I'm saying?
That's how he used to shoot, and still does sometimes.
So I'm not giving him a pass. Do I think he should have got more than a 2-game suspension? Absolutely, because you have to start looking at it like, "Yo, bro, you're doing too much." You know what I'm saying? Are you a great player?
Yeah, too much.
Your antics are overlooking Draymond. Your antics are now overshadowing anything you ever do.
I said he always does too much.
Yeah. But it's to the point where no one's gonna remember what you did when you were at Michigan State, like the Draymond Green you were, the Draymond Green that was the energy to the squad, and now you're becoming a problem to the squad. And a lot of people believe this is, you know what I mean? We're not gonna need you on the team anymore because now you're a detriment. Because if we needed you these next 2 games, because we're down 0-2.
Yeah.
And if we needed you, we can't have you because you don't know where to put your foot. I know where I'm gonna put mine, in your ass, out the door. So you know what I'm saying? So I think it might be curtains for him after the season, but I don't. That was just a crazy whole situation with that whole foot, stepping on my man like that.
Well, with this contract situation, he was gonna be out of Golden State after this year anyway. So he don't care. Right. So let me just say this, and I want to separate the 2 things. Draymond Green off camera, outside of the court, I like him. He's a smart guy. He talks very eloquently. It kind of reminds me of how I used to feel, but this is not the same. I used to feel like this about Kobe. I didn't like Kobe when he played, but when he was not playing, man, I just adored him so much. And then looking back, I realized what it was. But now let's not get it twisted. Kobe did some stupid stuff. Like you getting caught up. Yeah, they tried to set you up with the whole rape thing. I get that. You don't call out Shaq in that joint, man. You talking to the feds. Like you don't do that. I'm sorry, you just don't. And so
don't abide by the rules. Like
man, come on, man.
Kobe's not a street. He don't abide by the rules. Like you don't say not protect the back.
But I'm gonna say this about Draymond, and I watched the play too. And if you look at it, Domantas Sabonis was pushed down first by another team, by Draymond, by another Golden State Warrior. When he is around Draymond's leg, you can see he's loosely around his leg. He wasn't grabbing it like this, and Draymond was lifting his leg up trying to get free. If it was me looking at the play, I'm gonna stand there and I'm not moving. I'm gonna stand there and look at him and look down at him and not move my leg and be like, ref.
Yeah, like
you see this? I can't move, bro. You know what I mean? But he stepped on the man's chest and jumped off of him. So, you know what, man? At this point, I would have told Draymond, if I was the NBA, I said, you know what? You're done for the playoffs.
Yeah, indefinitely.
We're tired of it.
Antagonize the fans in the stands, making it worse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You saw what he was doing? I'm like, you sitting here screaming at the fans, at some dudes that standing there, he's like, yeah, Buzzy, yeah. And I'm just like, you know he can't come down there.
Right.
like he can't come to you.
And Draymond ain't tough enough to run up in the stands like the one boys did. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah, he ain't running up.
Stop that, man. Him and Patrick Beverly, man. I just can't.
See, I honestly, I believe Patrick Beverly knows that it's a role that he does it to piss people off.
I do too.
You know what I'm saying? He really thinks that's who he is. I think
Patrick Beverly is one of them. Patrick Beverly is one of them dudes, man.
And he'll probably be the coolest dude, play spades with you and everything, and he tell you, hey, this shit, I'm fucking with you tomorrow. Like, I'm messing with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that was a Bush League move. I think Shaq was on TNT talking about he would have did the same thing. I don't agree with that. I wouldn't have did the same thing. I would have stood there, pointed at him, and been like, "Yo, man, if I can't move my leg, you run the risk of injuring yourself worse if you try to get out of something like that instead of just standing there." So, you know, aside from all of that,
right?
I think that this is one of those games, one of them series where I said this before, and I said this to people. The Warriors are a well-run organization, great organization. I'm not a big, huge Steph Curry fan, but Steph Curry does what he does, and he does it well. He's a great player. But I think it's just Sacramento's time right now, and I think that the window for Golden State, you know, it can always remain open. But I think that this is just a bad matchup for them. I think that this is a very similar team, and they just outplay them.
They're going to have to slow it down, and they're going to have to use their veteran skill, because that's what I said last year when they went up when they were in the championship last year, and the team they were up against, I think it was Boston, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yeah, they played Boston.
And I was talking to a Warriors fan, and I said I think that they can beat them only if they do what they know how to do as a veteran, because you've been here before, so you can kind of methodically play with them. You know what I mean? And kind of make it, because they're going to be hyped. They're going to be all over the place. So if you try to match that energy, you're going to lose. You know what I'm saying? But you slow the game down and you use your veteran, your veteran wisdom, and they pulled it out. You know, and I thought the same thing, but I've never seen them down 0-2. Now, unless they flip a switch, and like all of a sudden Steph Curry just becomes NBA Jam, man on fire, shooting from full court. You know what I'm saying? And just really,
you're gonna have to get 40.
Yeah, and really because once Steph gets hot, it could really break a team down mentally, because it's like, this dude just can't miss. You know, he just can't miss. So unless that happens, you know what I mean, and Poole steps up crazy, because you're down Draymond for the next 2 games. You know what I mean? So you have to win one if you think having him back is going to help you win anything. You have to at least win one of these next 2 games. You know what I'm saying? So
if they don't win game 3, it's over.
Yeah, I don't want to count them out because it's hard because you know what they can do. But the way it's looking, man,
Bro, if they lose game 3, it's over.
Ain't standing up yet. You know what I'm saying? The ref
If,
already at 7 and it ain't standing up yet. So it might be.
If they lose game 3, it's a wrap. They're
Yeah.
not coming down and winning 4 in a row.
Right.
They're not. If they lose, it's over. So that it just is what it is. I think what's interesting, we don't really. I'm not too interested too much in the Eastern playoffs right now because I don't really feel like that there's any matchups currently that are surprising to me. I think Brooklyn is Brooklyn's playing the Sixers. Sixers should win. Miami playing against the Bucks, even though it's a 1 versus 8. Miami and the Bucks have met each other a couple times in the playoffs, and Miami has gotten the best of them a couple times. So I feel like that's not really a surprise, especially if Giannis is hurt. And then you got the matchup. The matchup, I guess, is probably the best on paper to watch in the Eastern Conference would be Cleveland and the Knicks. Because
real quick, Butler, I want to give you your flowers, bro. I don't think you get your flowers enough. You are a monster player, Jimmy Butler.
I love Jimmy Buckets.
The way he plays the game, I didn't think he worked well in Philly with the kind of guys they had there. Like I didn't.
With the guys they had there, I think that he could have worked well in Philly.
Yeah, and so, but to see what he's doing in Miami, man, he's that guy. Like I just want to give him his flowers. I don't think he gets talked about enough and what he's able to do for that team and with those guys, with Tyler Hero and those cats down there. So I definitely want to give him a.
I agree with that. What I'm interested to see in the Eastern Conference, and I don't want to belittle it because we're not going to talk about the Eastern Conference that much, but I'm looking forward to the next round of matchups in the Eastern Conference.
For sure.
I think the next round of matchups for the Eastern Conference is going to be the most interesting because right now it's just not enough parity. I think the Western Conference is exciting right now because I think that there's been parity in the Western Conference all season. I mean, Denver's been number 1, but that's kind of to be expected. And they're one of those teams that kind of remind me of the Minnesota Vikings. I said that last time. Until they beat a good team and beat them soundly, I'm not buying into who they are. So, the Clippers and Suns, they're evenly matched. Still, all those teams were 1 or 2 games away from each other. So, so the thing that the surprising outcome might be right now is Memphis and the Lakers. And that's just because, again, injuries played a role into this. So I think that the Western Conference right now, if you're watching basketball, Western Conference first round, that's the rounds to watch. The Eastern Conference, don't put too much stock into it. Everybody that's going to win is probably going to win. The best series probably watching the first round is going to be the Knicks and the Cavs. But the next round of the Eastern Conference, to me, is going to be better than the next round for the Western Conference.
Absolutely.
I think that's something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, man. We can't wait for these games. There's actually a game in progress right now. There is a game on right now, right?
Yeah.
So that wraps it up for episode 3 of the pod. I froze up on me real quick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Just real quick, I know I have been watching some of that, but I've also been watching the XFL. I don't know if you've been watching it. I like it.
I mean, I know it's good.
I like it. I'm looking at it. Everybody was like, "Oh, he's probably gonna be some bumps." No, these is cats in the NFL or formerly or couldn't make it still high level. Like so, I like it. I want to give a shout out to one specific team only because I know the guy. I know his father. The Houston Roughnecks, the running back Bryce Alain. He made number 2 on SportsCenter. He's a Delaware native. He was the head. He was a coach over at DMA. He came out and did some work with the Brandywine Warriors. He also trained over at Alpha Training. Great kid.
I know big shout outs to him then.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And so he got to score a touchdown, did a flip in the end zone. And I'm just sitting there like, and it's crazy because I watched him like training other kids and he's still a young guy himself. And so to see him get this opportunity, you know what I mean, to play in the XFL and things like that, I just think it's really dope. You know what I mean? I love it for that reason right there, that the XFL will now give opportunities to people who are like, yo, maybe I'm not ready for the NFL. Maybe I need to develop a little bit more. So you can go to the XFL. I don't know if the NFL is going to be calling people up like they do in the G League or if they in minor league baseball. I don't know, but all I know is that to see these kids go out there and they're having fun. You know what I'm saying? I finally get to watch. I finally get to watch what's his name, Josh Gordon, play football. You know what I'm saying? Josh Gordon play football. So it's really, really cool to watch. They're in the playoffs right now. So I just want to give a shout out to the XFL, man. That's dope. I'm excited for it. I'm glad that The Rock put it back together and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna check them out. I'm gonna check them out, and just for all our viewers, we're ending to the end of the podcast right now this time. But I just want to set everybody up for next week's podcast. So next week, NFL draft. Next week is the NFL draft. So
that's right.
We are going to be live, and we'll let everybody know what platforms we're going to be streaming live on for the first round of the NFL draft. And so we're going to do the first round of the NFL draft live, and then the next week episode, that will be episode 5, we're going to do a breakdown of the NFL draft, and we're going to start going into our we're going to obviously recap the NBA. We're going to recap free agency. We're going to recap the draft, see where people are falling. And we're actually going to be doing this by like divisions too. So, we'll go divisions. We'll go, NFC East, NFC North, breaking down the teams where we see them being at. So look forward to the live ones, and then the next episodes coming up. We're going to have a lot of interesting content. We'll show you guys ways that you guys can participate and get involved with us too. Maybe even start having some guests on the show, man. We might have to do that. People keep asking.
We're gonna be limited sparingly. We gotta make them want to be on it. We just can't let anybody in. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? For sure. Yeah, wait to get our first guest on this thing. Like, so for real.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, man. Well, hey.
Yeah.
Another one in the books, brother.
With that being, this was another awesome episode, man. Thank everybody for tuning in and watching the Agents of Chaos podcast. Me and my co-host, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This is something that you can tell that we are very, very passionate about. We love talking sports. We love giving our insight to you guys, and we want your insight as well. So when you see this up on YouTube or any platform we have it on, comment, hey man, we thick skinned, bro. We both grew up in North Philly. There's nothing that you can say that's gonna hurt our feelings.
Absolutely,
you know what I'm saying?
Nothing.
So let us know what you think.
Nothing.
Put something in the and those kind of us get better. You know what I mean? And we can give you more of what you want to hear, what you want to talk about. We'll probably start a segment somewhere in there where we grab a comment and we have one of our questions and we respond off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do a little Q&A or something like that. But with that being said, man, hey, it's a wrap. We're going to see y'all next week live for the NFL draft.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, we're going to see y'all later, baby.
All right. Holla at you, man.